Hey guys, Lodicus here with a full achievement walkthrough for the Guise. This is an action-adventure platformer game which was released today on March the 17th. It was developed by Rasul and published by Ratalaika games. You should be able to grab the full 1000 game score in around 35 to 40 minutes if you follow along with this guide. It can be purchased for either the Xbox or the PlayStation for $5.99. However, during its launch week it'll be discounted to $4.79. To get the full 1000 gamer score, it's going to involve us killing the first 3 bosses and then completing a few other miscellaneous achievements. I will put timestamps in the descriptions to all the achievements if you just want to skip ahead. Once you press start game, you'll have a 2 to 3 minute cutscene which I've clipped from the start of this video just to save a little bit of time. Once you gain control of your character, we're just going to head to the right of the screen. You can move around with your left analog stick. A is to jump. Left bumper should allow you to roll so you can dodge incoming attacks, and then right trigger will allow you to do a basic attack. In this playthrough I'm going to go for the quickest time possible, so I'm going to bypass 90% of the enemies either by jumping over them or pressing LB to roll through them so we don't get hit. Barring the intro video at the very start, I haven't cut out anything else in this video, so you can follow along side by side, taking the paths and directions I take, and we'll hopefully get you through this in around 35 to 40 minutes. The majority of this video is traversing from point A to point B. I won't be narrating over those sections, just at key intervals. Once you've walked up to this beast and the mysterious lady has defeated it, you'll have a brief conversation with her where she'll give you the ability to heal yourself. You can do this by pressing B on your controller. You'll notice that in the top left is your white health bar. There is a circle missing currently, but as I press B, that will give me my full health back. You'll notice that the green circle in the top right is an indication of when you can use your heal ability. You need to charge it up 10 times by killing enemies, but for the majority of this playthrough we're just going to be skipping those, so it's likely you'll only get a charge when you're using a save point. These little orange things here are what they call eyes. Destroy these and you'll get around 30 to 40 here. We need to get a total of 100 to get the achievement. There is plenty of opportunity further on in the game, and they're literally found outside of boss rooms, and that's probably the best opportunity that we're going to get the achievement to pop, but you'll see that as we come along. For whatever reason, I got the achievement for killing my first enemy as I transitioned into this area. This here is a save point. If you just press Y on it, what it'll do is fully heal you, restore any charges that you use for your abilities, and of course saves the game. So if you do die, you'll return to this spot. I suggest using those every time you see them. Along here would be where you get your first enemy kill, but like I said, mine popped at the very start for whatever reason. You can skip this guy, but in this case I'm going to kill him. You can use left bumper to roll to dodge his attacks, and then just ensure you attack him from the rear and you should be okay. Just attack this door and then move into the next zone. Here we'll be introduced to the drop down mechanic. You need to push the left stick down twice. Usually games you have to press left stick down and then A or something along those lines, but in this game you just have to push the left stick down twice. Moving on from here, we'll do our best just to avoid all enemies, so you can use left bumper just to roll past them. There is a couple of exceptions, such as this spiky slug on the roof here, and then later on there's an explosive enemy which we kind of have to either bypass or blow up to get past, but I'll show you when we get there. I've now got a lengthy spell where I'm just running past enemies, so I'll just speak up when we get to something of interest. As we transition into this next zone, we'll meet a little boy stood beside two scarecrows. This will start a quest line when we talk to him. However, we won't be able to finish the quest until we've killed the third boss. So this is technically our very last achievement that will unlock in the game. Just speak to him and then use the save point. As we transition into the next area, we will engage in our first boss fight against Damia. This creature looks a little bit like the Loch Ness Monster. So as we transition into the next zone, there'll be a sheer cliff face which we just drop off the edge. And then as we move over here, past this teleport point, which we don't need to use as yet, you'll engage in the boss fight. Ideally you want to stand up against her chest, and then every time she moves or raises her neck, you want to jump into the air. This will ensure that the attack doesn't hit you. So it tends to be either one neck strike straight down, and then sometimes she does two on the trot, so you may need to jump twice in a row. As you land, just ensure that you're continually doing light attacks until she then moves ahead again. As well as slams and a charge attack, she also spits poison. But I did note, if you did jump when she attempts to spit, it will launch too far away from you and miss completely. So rule of thumb here is every time she moves ahead, just jump and you should be fine. Rinse and repeat this technique until we get into phase 2. As we reach phase 2, when she's got about 0.25% health, she'll start doing poison attacks on her basic slams. These tend to have a little bit of AoE on them, so it is possible to hit you even when you're jumping. I found the best method was to put myself at the very tip of the ledge just before falling in the water. When she does slam, the AoE doesn't quite hit you, but do your best just to keep hitting her while jumping and then voiding that poison attack. Remember, you do have one heal charge, so if you find your health getting low, you can press B to heal yourself. If you do die, don't worry, you'll get the achievement for Dead Monster for dying the first time, and you'll be reverted back to the previous save point where you can just try again. Once we've killed her, you'll get the achievement for defeating Damia, and you'll also get a new ability to spit. To use the ability, just hold down on the left stick and then press B, which will launch kind of a slime or acid ball into your enemies. It doesn't really kill them outright, so it may take one or two to kill them, but it does recharge over time. There's another save point here, and then we're going to make our way to the right, where we'll be able to pick up our first amulet and get another achievement. So here there's kind of a body hanging. Just jump over the white light and you should get the achievement and pick up the amulet. There's a little brief conversation here with this lady where she'll attach the amulet and then we can proceed onward. As we move into this cave, we'll have a little bit of a tutorial on how to use the spit ability, as well as an introduction to our first explosive enemy type. All you need to do is push left stick down and then press B, and it should launch the acid spit and blow these enemies up. There's also a pool of water here and a lever. You need to spit at the lever to move the water level down so we can cross. We now have a couple of minutes of just evading and shooting explosive enemies, so just proceed along here and I'll speak up when we get to the next achievement point. As we move along through this zone, there will be a girl sat on the swing. This will trigger a conversation. Just skip through this and then follow her out of the zone. As you follow her out of the zone, it will trigger a cutscene, and after that will appear inside their house. Once that cutscene's played out, you should return to the children's shelter and get the achievement for Home Sweet Home. At the left hand side here, just make sure you do a save just to get your health back and restore your abilities. And then we're going to move to the very right hand side to the shelter. There is a door at the very end. Sorry, I was just trying to open the chest, which I didn't have a key for. But move to this door at the very end. And then if you had plenty of eyes, you could upgrade your abilities and attacks and things, but we haven't been collecting those, so we can't. So all we need to do here is talk to this lady to progress the story. And then once we've done that, we can leave the building. So there's kind of an invisible door here that you can press Y on. And then halfway along the shelter, just in front of these drawers, is another door, which will allow us to leave by pressing Y. Once you've come out the shelter into Guiseville, just move along to the left to transition into the next zone. We're now going to find a familiar just below here, so drop down, make sure you don't get hit by this guy, and then there's kind of a secret passage or doorway here that we can smash open. Open this chest and there will be a familiar inside, and it will pop the achievement for Not Alone. There's now going to be a segment of 4 to 5 minutes of us traversing towards the second boss. So if you move right out of this zone and then just follow along with my guidance here, I will now go quiet and speak up to you when we get near the boss. At this section here, I was meant to go up the steps up to the top level, but I managed to go into this room which had a load of eyes. Doing so also gave me the achievement for 100 eyes, but don't worry, there is another opportunity outside the boss room to collect those, so you can just bypass that and climb up to this top level. As we transition down this lift, this will be the save point just before the second boss. Also, just outside the boss room is a number of eyes which we can smash open. Once you've smashed these open, you'll probably get the 100 that you needed for the achievement if you did miss that last section I was talking about. Once you're done with the eyes, just press Y here to enter the room. Here we're going to have a boss fight with kind of a minotaur bull kind of guy. He's going to continually charge at you 2 or 3 times, and then he'll eventually rest on the right hand side of the screen here. This gives us an opportunity to get a couple of hits in on him. I was using the standard light attack, but found he was turning around too quickly and I took too much damage and I was dying. So I found that there was a heavy attack that you could do, which isn't taught to you during any sort of tutorial. When he rests, just stand behind him and then push down on the left stick so you're kind of in a crouched position. Then use your light attack and that'll convert into one single big heavy attack, which gives you the perfect amount of time to hit him and then move away before he starts charging at you again. Obviously rinse and repeat this, making sure that you don't get hit by the rocks that are falling from the ceiling. The rocks do give you a little bit of an indication where they're going to fall through, as you'll get a puff of smoke or dust where they're about to fall down from. Do your best to avoid both him and the rocks, get those heavy attacks in, and then eventually once he gets into phase 2, when he's about just under half health, he'll transform and he won't start charging anymore, he'll just start walking around, but he'll have a kind of pincer or arm attached to him. I suggest using your spit attack initially until you've used all your charges up, and then once your spit's exhausted, what you can do is just run left and right passing through him. As you pass through him, just do a light attack and then continue to do this without stopping, passing through him do a light attack, pass through him, do a light attack, and hopefully you shouldn't get hit by either of his attacks that he does. So there you go, his arms come out. I'm now going to use my spit attacks, rolling where possible just so he doesn't catch me. And then once the spit's exhausted, I'm just going to resort to light attacks by walking through them and spamming them without stopping. Rinse and repeat that till the boss fight's finished, and I will catch up with you then. Now that he's defeated, you'll get the achievement for Imprisoned Mortal. You'll probably only have 3 achievements left to collect at this point, one of which being the 3rd boss, and that's where we're going to traverse to next. To exit this arena, just go over to the left hand side here and press Y on these dotted white lines, and then it's going to take roughly 10 minutes of pathfinding and platforming all the way to the next segment where I'm going to talk to you. So I'll come back to you in about 9 to 10 minutes time. Just follow along with the guide. It's taking the same directions I'm taking, and that should be the correct path, or the quickest path anyway, to get to the next objective. As we transition into the next zone, you will find a locked door here that we need to smash open. As soon as you smashed through this door, you'll find a band here called Bones and Roses. All you need to do is press Y to interact with them. This is going to give you the achievement for listening to their music. And after about 10-15 seconds, you can just press B to back out of that and then continue on your way. Now just after that, there is a drop down here that will take you to the boss fight. However, the lift doesn't work until we go and activate it. So again, there's a little bit of parkouring and traversal until we get to the lever to activate the lift. So I will catch you when we get there. Once we drop down to the lowest point in this area, there's a little vent that we can smash open here, hidden away. Save point, just ensure you save there, and as you can see, there is a lever that says danger. That's going to activate the lift for the boss fight. Once you've hit that and changed it to the unlocked position, we can now just backtrack to where we were earlier, just after where that band was. Once we returned back here, the flames are now purged and we can drop down, activating the lift. And then as we move to the right, it will trigger the boss fight and you'll be introduced to Priscilla, the Queen of the Rats. Right, techniques for this boss fight. She'll do a double head slam that kind of creates a shockwave. What you need to do is jump to avoid that. So every time she head slams, just ensure that you jump so you don't get affected by it. And every so often she'll spit like a bouncing ball out, this orange ball there. If that does hit you, you will take damage. However, you can hit it with your melee attack to break it. And then every so often she'll also lay an egg, which will spawn a random enemy. It'll either be the dog, the bat, or the moth. The bats are pretty easy to handle. The dogs and the moths, however, do lunge and attack at you. So just be careful when they are running around the arena with you that you do continue to jump to avoid her attacks, as well as trying to kill those. Friendly fire is also enabled, so if Priscilla's doing ground slams and manage to hit one of her little babies, it will kill them outright. So you can decide if you want to kill the enemies first of all, or just let them roam around and hope Priscilla will kill them. It's entirely up to you. Just ensure that you're continually doing light attacks on her. Heavy ones, you're not going to have much time to evade her slams. So just avoid those and the little enemies as best you can. When she gets to about 0.25% health left, she will go into phase 2 where she'll jump onto the roof. In this phase, Priscilla won't attack you directly. She'll just move around on the rooftop, dropping eggs onto the floor. So you'll just have to deal with the little minions that fall down. And the only opportunity to hurt Priscilla is when she drops her eggs onto the floor. You can reach her tail and get in 1 or 2 attacks before she lifts it back up. At this point, it's just a case of killing the enemies on the ground so you're not getting hit. And then when there's opportunity, when she's dropping a fresh egg down, just ensure you jump up and get a couple of hits in. Rinse and repeat this last section, and then you should get her killed. Once Priscilla is dead, we should get the achievement for Queen of the Rats, leaving only one achievement left to get, which is called Great Warrior, and that's to hand in the initial quest that we picked up at the very start from the boy that's between the two scarecrows. With Priscilla now dead, you'll get the spider legs ability, which will allow you to climb and run across walls. So now we can return to the little boy on top of the mountaintop. So it's just a case of traversing back out to this arena. Unfortunately, you can't go back down the cave, which I was trying to do. You do have to climb up and then activate this lift. Once we get to the top of the lift, we're going to use the teleporter, which will be on our right hand side. So just jump up here, use the teleporter, and then scroll to the very top where we want to select Western Cemetery. This will take us back to the very start where we had our first boss encounter. Here we just want to jump up the wall face, climbing back up to the top of the cliff that we did initially fall down, and there we can hand in the quest to the little boy between the two scarecrows. If for whatever reason you managed to finish this game without dying, which I doubt you did, you can then go ahead and walk into a couple of enemies or jump down a few holes to get the death achievement. But that should give you the full 1000 for the Guise. If you found this guide useful, please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.